back in the crossroads. Still feels like one false step could send you anywhere.
Well met, Rook.
How did you get here?
I did tell you I had my ways through Illuvians when I introduced you to the Inquisitor, did I not?
The Illuvians in general, yes, but not the Dreadwolf's crossroads.
I would think you have more pressing questions at the moment. Questions about Solus and Mythal?
Mythal?
The two gods have always been linked, have they not? First, when Mythal bade her companion spirit to abandon the Fade and take on mortal form. Then, when Solus spilled Mythal's mortal blood, that he might absorb her power as his own.
Wait, how do you know exactly what we saw of Solus's past?
Think upon it, Rook. You saw for yourself in the Dreadwolf's memories. When Mythal stood against the gods' manipulations of the Blight, she was betrayed and struck down. Yet she survived and returned ages later to aid the Inquisition in its hour of need. How?
The Elven gods had access to magic beyond anything we can imagine.
To be sure, but it matters less what they possessed than what they were. You recall that the first elves were spirits, do you not? Mythal was a spirit turned elven. And when her body was struck down, to spirit she returned. Her essence sheltered in a willing mortal vessel. Over the centuries, she journeyed from host to host, slowly amassing her former power anew. Until once again she was struck down, on this occasion by Solus. He absorbed her power, but not her memories.
Then where did they... Wait. You?
As you say.
You're Mythal? That's why the ambient magic around you is so fractured.
Such a flattering picture you paint of this ancient bond.
What? That was like how Elganon and Gillinane can talk in your head, but...
'Twas Mythal you heard, her echoes. Yet I am not the goddess returned.
What are you, then?
I once feared Mythal would consume me were I to carry her, but 'twas not so. I remain free-willed and mortal. What I now possess is but a spark of Mythal, shadowed memories through which to sift for meaning. As to our admixture, I suspect you have questions.
You would have met Solus in the Inquisition, right?
I did indeed. 'Twas before I possessed Mythal's memories. At the time, I thought Solus a scowling elven apostate whose sole passion was finding arguments. He heard me, in all my ignorance, expound on the histories of the elven people, explaining legends he had witnessed himself.
Bet he loved that.
'Tis not a memory that brings me pride.
How can you carry Mythal's soul if you're not an elf?
Her spark has sheltered within both elves and humans who were sympathetic to her in thought and circumstance. Mythal's last host was a woman wronged, trapped by those sworn to love her. We may readily imagine their kinship.
So, there's the soul of an elven god inside you. How does that even happen?
Mythal's last host was my mother, Flemeth.
Oh.
When I learned she intended me to become the next receptacle of an ancient god's soul, I feared naught would be left of my own. It inevitably came to pass on a deep night. I was awakened by the presence of a blaze of magic in the shape of a woman who both was and was not. my mother.
This isn't the strangest thing I've heard, but it's close.
'Tis difficult to describe, even now. Mathal's memories were both gift and burden, this blazing woman told me, but I must accept them of my own accord. The decision was paralyzing. What would it mean to become such a host? What would be lost if I refused? In the end, 'twas something in my mother's voice which guided me.
What was that?
Regret. Not the regret of a god, but of a mother who knew she would never see me again. And so, my mind remains my own. What I gained was knowledge, both Mathal's and of those who bore her.
Do you have information we can use against Gillenane or Elganon? Or Solus?
The last time Mathal faced Elganon and Gillenane, she was struck down by the very dagger you now carry.
What about Solus?
You may recall he murdered Mathal's former host to claim her godly might as his own. I hoard no untapped magical secrets, Rook. What I do possess, I share freely with you and the Veil Jumpers.
All right. You didn't come out here just to tell me you're Mathal.
I am not Mathal in her entirety, but yes, the Dreadwolf has occasion to visit you in dreams, where he portions out advice. And now, after finding his memories, you have peered into his deepest sorrows. Tell me then, what do you make of Solus?
I should ask you. Mathal knew Solus better than anyone.
I would influence your answer. Or do you mean to discover if I would stand directly against the Dread Wolf, were there a need?
Would you?
I shall aid you in any way but that, even had I the power. What has passed between Solus and Mathal? I beg you, do not ask this of me again.
Solus talks a lot about what has to be done, being forced to make hard choices. But it's like he's trying to talk himself into it. I think, deep down, he doesn't entirely believe what he's saying.
'Tis exactly like the old wolf to tie himself into the most intricate knots. 'Tis not malice which made Solus your opponent, but conviction, a belief that only he may halt what he set in motion. Yet Solus was once beloved of Mathal. 'Tis his very loyalty and love for his people that led to the tragedy we now face. You may be in a position to determine how it ends, more so than either of you might realize.
Well, that's not terrifying at all.
You have been thrust into the lives of gods. Fate will have its way, whether or without our permission.
Even more comforting, Morrigan.
If you would shape the outcome of your battle, I've one last secret to share. When Mathal was struck down by the other gods, it was with her own Lyrium dagger, the dagger you now carry. Solus recovered it from Elganon, and from it extracted a fragment of Mathal that had lain hidden within its depths. This fragment, a younger sister to the one I carry, if you will, resides here, in the crossroads. I can open the way for you. Find her, survive the encounter, and the essence you obtain will aid you in times to come.
Another fragment of Mathal? In addition to the one inside you?
You are aware of what the word fragment means, are you not? One small piece of many, formed when something greater is broken. The first elves were spirits, as you well know, and when a spirit is broken, it may shatter into pieces, each holding part of the original. Among the ancient elves who became known as gods, Durthaman and his brother, Falondine, are but one example.
All of that sounded great until survived the encounter.
You know Solus, and have seen Elganon, and memories of Mythal. They are creatures of emotion, as all spirits are. The fragment of Mythal that resides in me lived among mortals for thousands of years. She has grown wiser and more patient. This younger sister has not. She is the essence of Mythal as a god. She is unlikely to listen to polite requests, and though she is but a fragment of the goddess, the battle will test you sorely.
If she's just going to attack us, why tell us about her at all? We have enough enemies already.
A fragment of a god's essence is a powerful thing. It may give you options against Elganon and Gillenane, or against the Dreadwolf himself, should he prove as cunning and treacherous as ever.
You would know this aspect of Mythal better than anyone. Could you try talking to her?
I dare say she would attack me on sight.
Spirits can't get along with fragments of each other.
Spirits, certainly, but the aspects of a self-righteous god who have walked different paths for ages? One bears the insult of her betrayal by the Evanuris, and then by Solus, as fresh wounds, insult upon injury. The other once fell in love with an Alamari chieftain and lived happily in a swamp for centuries. Each reminds the other that another path existed, that they could have been wrong, and nothing angers Mythal like being wrong.
What kind of spirit was Mythal before she became an elf? I know Solus is elven for pride.
Mythal enjoyed ruling and having power, but it came not from the overweening desire to crush resistance, as is the case with Elganon. The emotion that inspired her might best be described as benevolence, a guiding hand inclined to kindness. But like any spirit, when angered or twisted against her purpose, a more violent aspect arose. Where the Dreadwolf's wisdom gave way to pride when the world did not meet his standards, Mythal's benevolence gave way to retribution. After all, when kindness fails, the guilty must be punished.
If I were to try to talk with her, do you have any suggestions?
She will demand respect, but detest flattery. She appreciates righteous anger, but will not tolerate pity. She is, for want of better phrasing, prickly. But if you are determined to try, then I wish you luck.
Thank you for the information, Morrigan.
I only ask that you reflect upon what I have said. The Dreadwolf is not so apart from the world as he thinks. There, you have the advantage of him.
A god's fragment, sharper than the whole, prevail, or be sundered completely.
We're getting close to where Morrigan said that other fragment of Mythal was. has to be her.
Do you believe she'll be willing to speak with us? Or are we bound for violence?
Guess we'll find out.
You are Rook. I have seen you and your companions. We made ourselves bodies to be like humans, but I never expected to see humans scurrying about in the Dread Wolf's crossroads. And you know who I am?
Mythal.
The part of me that survived betrayal by the rest of the Evanuris, if this can be called surviving. Solas. He drew me from the dagger that struck me down, but what is left of me can only survive here. I cannot return to the world, and even the true Fade is denied me. All I can do is watch. Why are you here? To beg me to give up what remains of myself to help you defeat the monsters Elganan and Gillenane have become? Or do you simply think yourself ready to fight a god?
Morrigan was right. Talking to you is a waste of time.
You listen to the human and the cowardly echo she carries. Pathetic. You desire the essence of a god and think you deserve it. Then take it if you can!
Everyone get ready.
Her draconic form is quite formidable.
Not too bad. Clear out. Let's go again.
Excellent. All safe?
It's ours. The essence of a god. It burns just being near it. But this is the power we need to finish this.
Strength requires knowledge. How shall we use it?
I think the moment is coming. When we can turn the tide, we'll know.
Oh, everything here is curse-free. Guaranteed. Hey, punch an on-tom for me.
Storm Riders get really possessive about their hordes. She'll be tracking the scent of anything that got taken.
Looks like they're talking about a dragon. Kataranda?
Kataranda the Storm Rider. She's bad. She's real bad. Breathes lightning, like the Vincimer.
The Vincimer was kind of friendly, though.
Kataranda isn't. She is a bad dragon.
Emmerich, when you catch up to Hezencast, just know where your exits are. Sometimes you think you've got someone backed into a corner, and you find yourself there instead.
Speaking from experience?
Too much of it.
I'm sorry. And the advice is well taken. Perhaps this lost treasure is in the wreckage nearby? It's over.
Kataranda threw that ship like a toy. Looks like something took the treasure and buried it.
You've got company. Look at that. You're not alone. Got you covered.
Over there?
What? It flew off with the treasure.
Perhaps we could leave the bird something else that shines in exchange.
This is all of the treasure stolen from Kataranda. If we want to lure the dragon in, we should find someplace open. Maybe the beach where Tash lured in the Vinsima.
Well, there's a fancy trick.
Looks like we've got a door. Let's see what's on the other side.
Hey.
ferocious...
Deathstorm the Stormrider. We are drinking for free tonight.
And I believe there may be some treasure caught in her scales.
Yep. Stormriders carry around bits of their hoard. I think maybe they get worried when it's not with them.